So this, we're going to get started. This session is on lodge resources. So let me get a kind of a demographic of who belongs to what. Secretaries, senior wardens, junior wardens,
Everybody.
cool. Others. Okay, good. So basically what this class is designed to do is to help show you that you don't need a lot of resources that are not already available to you. And so let's talk about some of those things. Let's talk about ritual and its usage. The ritual itself is in the Freemason's Guide and the Standard Working Freemason's Guide. It's all there. They just went through an exercise that went through and fixed all the little grammatical and spelling errors. They went through and just made sure that the little ciphers and the standard work now are exactly the same. Oh, isn't that slick, okay? They went through and cleaned up a lot of questions on when the gavel is used and when people stand and all the rest of that stuff. They're at the printers even as we speak and will be available from the Grand Lodge within probably the next 10 days, okay? Here's the issue. If you're doing your proficiency in lodge management, I don't know that that will have an impact on that, but you should be aware that there will be a new revision of those of this. They are reprinting, or will be reprinting, the little ciphers. Okay? And for anybody that's maybe looking at a deputy's position, they even have gone through and cleaned up the clear text. They all are the same anymore. Holy cow.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is scary, okay? But if you can't get there, right? If you now have a question on introductions, and you have a question on procedures and things of that nature, where do you go? Well, the first place to go is to the Lodge Officer's Handbook. And guess what?
They're putting it in the back of the standard work.
It'll be in the back of the standard work, and it has just been gone over by a whole team of Masons. And so all the ambiguity has been cleared, all the corrections, all the things that were really, really out of date have been updated or taken out, and a lot of other things that we have as common usage are being put in. Let me give you a good example, and you're not allowed. What's the proper usage for asking the Tyler to come into the lodge? Keep your hand out. You're asking the Tyler.
Brother Junior Deacon, tell the Tyler to close the outer door and tile from within, meaning within the outer door. The Tyler then opens, if accepting, opens the closes the outer door, puts his chair outside the doorway of the inner door, and sits across the inner door with his sword in front of him, with his feet and all of his body outside of the lodge.
Correct, almost. Correct, almost. He's not coming into the lodge. He hasn't signed in, right? It would be, you could have him come into the lodge, have him sign in, but if the first alarm, he's got to stop and sign out before he can go at the end of the alarm. Doesn't make a lot of sense. And so the wordage that gets all of that set up is have the Tyler secure the outer door and tile from without the inner door. Does that make sense? Let me do it again. Close the outer door and tile from without the inner door.
You're securing one door, but yet still sitting
We
outside the
say it that
lawn.
way, but we don't say without. We say
Okay.
plow without.
But that's the way it'll be put in the Lodge Officer's Handbook. Is that gospel? Is that gospel?
Will and
Guys,
pleasure.
it's suggested work. It is highly suggested work for standardization. So as you go from one lodge to the other, you know exactly what to expect and what words to use. Because we all know if you go visiting and the junior deacon is ill, you may be asked to sit there. There you have it. Yes, sir.
And I have a request for everybody in here, never ask a Mason from Idaho or California to be a junior deacon for you.
Yeah.
The object there will be to embarrass that brother. Do not do it. and I speak as a California Mason. The
Embarrass
ritual
a brother,
is,
how?
the ritual is so different. I never heard the duties performed until I came visit in Washington. 15 years of Mason, I had never heard those words. So do not ask a California or Idaho Mason to be the junior deacon, because you'll end up embarrassing that brother, because our ritual here is so much different than that in California.
Yeah, good point, really good point. I won't tell you, one of the hardest things I ever had to do was unlearn Ohio work, which is where I took my first degrees, and relearn Washington work, because they're similar, but just enough difference that'll mess you up every time.
Isn't Ohio ancient-free?
No, they're F and AM, they're just F and AM.
I'd like to point out one thing, if I may. California and Idaho have the exact same ritual. California is free and accepted Masons. Idaho decided to be ancient free and accepted Masons. And it's just a name.
Yeah.
It's not the ritual, it's just a name.
If you can't get the answer to those questions, specifically what the ritual says or how to work within the lodge, your next resource is your deputy. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Deputies are not infallible. They're not. They're human. I know. You can wipe off that shocked face, but I'm just letting you know. But the deputy is in that position because he knows enough to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I know where to find it. I'll go look it up and get back to you. Or, and this is even better, an interesting question you've asked, let's go see. Right? The other thing that is in your guide is, brethren, take a little time to understand pronunciation. When the secretary starts reading off those names,
Oh, God.
I've heard John Smith. I mean, it's what it sounded like, and I know that's not right. So it takes time to go in and understand the pronunciation of what's in the ritual. So there's a pronunciation guide right at the back. It's good bathroom reading. I'm serious, right? Take your little pronunciation guide, take those pages out of your little monitor or wherever it is, put them over next to the paper holder, and while you're sitting there contemplating the world's troubles or your own, review those little pronunciation guides. You'll be surprised at what you'll find. The next one is, yes, sir.
I have a comment about that. I look at the pronunciation guide for the lodge, for Grand Lodge, and I look at the pronunciation guide for the Bible, and there are different pronunciations for the same word.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
They both think they're God.
For a competition, warden's competition and that sort of thing, I highly suggest you use the pronunciation out of the, and at church, whatever.
Yeah, but it's very interesting that they both have separate definitions for how to spell, how to pronounce them.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And I'll give you a classic example. Mount Hermon or Mount Hermon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See?
Just
It
be
is-
aware, just be aware. Masonry works differently, I'll tell you.
Or you can always do like a friend of mine, right? He always referred to the bathroom as the reading room, and I finally go, so you take a book in there? He goes, well, no, I study in there. Because what he would do is he would go into the room, he would raise the lid, and then straddle and sit down backwards because he had a work surface in the back on top of the tank. That's a visual.
Yeah, it is.
I could have done without that, thank you, Sam.
All right.
Works both ways.
When you're dealing with the lecture or the work itself, if your deputy does not know or has a difference of opinion and you want to go for the authority, you should go talk to, you and your deputy should go talk to the Grand Lecturer. Okay? And as far as usage within the lodge, go talk to the Grand Historian. Take your deputy with you. Okay? That's Warren Chauvin as of this year. Yeah. Okay? This is great bathroom room, really. Questions on lodge organization and schedules. Your 990s are due on a particular day, at a particular time. Your monthly reports are due. Your annual return is due on, your audit is due on, and it's all in the code. It's all in the Washington Masonic Code. It's good reading. It's a little long, but the information is there. And brethren, as you go from junior wardens into worshipful masters, these are not suggested dates. These are in the code. This is going to sound a little threatening, and it's not intended to be that way at all. But if you miss those dates, you're in violation of the code. And what does that mean to you?
You can be sanctioned.
Well, more than that. More than that. What it causes in the Grand Lodge office for the ladies there is that they have to stop what they're doing and backtrack to gather up and process your reports. I really don't care that it's against the Washington Masonic Code. You're causing a lot of effort for the ladies in the lodge office to support you. If you just find out what the dates are and do your work, everybody's life is happier and you stay within the code. Okay? And your deputy of the Grand Master knows those dates, or better yet, will sit down with you over the Washington Masonic Code and help you find them. A lot of his reports are time constrained as well. Now I'm going to go do a little aside. They're in the code for a reason. It's not that Grand Lodge is trying to run your lodge. It's not the Grand Lodge or the Grand Lodge office is trying to ink around in your business. Rather, it's for you to manage your lodge on time. And I'm going to go pick on the audit, your financial audit. Your committee is to be scheduled 30 days before your installation, and your audit is due 30 days after. Why? Why is the Grand Lodge making that stupid mandate? Well, let me tell you why. So that you as incoming worshipful master know what the financial base of your lodge is. And it's an audit. It looks at last year and it budgets out for next year. So you know where your money is going.
How much you have to spend.
How much you have to spend, and how much revenue you've got coming in, and where the shortfall is. And what else can you do with that information?
Make a budget.
Make a budget, plan events.
You can also validate that the money went where it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this, and this hurts my heart. But just in the last year, because lodges decided they didn't really want to bother with an audit, lodges missing money. Their secretaries or their treasurers have borrowed, and I use that term loosely.
Absconded.
Absconded is another word, of lodge funds.
No way. That's hard to
Bad.
hear. That's hard to hear.
It is hard to hear.
$850,000.
The amounts vary, but because the person, I can't stoop to call him my brother, because the person goes, we haven't done an audit in 10 years. They'll never know.
Never know.
I'll never get caught. So, it's a free check.
Our lodge even goes as far as in the middle of the term, we pull an audit just to make sure the books are still up to par. Our own, internal audit.
Yeah. So there's a reason for these things, right? It's not just, Grand Lodge is just being arbitrary and obstinate about it. There's a reason for this stuff.
I'd like to point out that the treasurers want those audits.
Good treasurers want those audits.
Good
Good
treasure.
treasurers want to. As a treasurer, I say, treasurers want those audits. They want the lodge to know that they haven't fingered any of the money.
Down to the penny. Down to the penny,
Down to the penny.
right? And the brothers know exactly where it's gone. So when I go into lodges and I get the treasurer's report, and the treasurer's report is, well, worship master, don't worry about it, we have money, I get a little concerned. Not that they're doing anything wrong. I'm not insinuating that at all.
The books aren't balanced.
I don't know what the problem is. Don't really. All I know is that if don't be surprised if all of a sudden things don't work out the way you want. So
And On that subject, Sam. Brethren, the reports are on the desk. Any of you who choose to can look at it. Worshipful Master, don't worry, we have none.
That's bad. That's just bad.
No, no.
You should be able to say our lodge has this to the penny in checking, this for saving, this for investment.
And quite honestly, guys, if you don't want the other lodges in your district to know how much money you've got, don't tell them. I don't care. But when your secretary gives a report, if nothing else, he goes, should be something along the lines of Worshipful Master. The monthly statements have been audited, and you and the wardens and the secretary have a copy. Ta-da! Okay?
As long as those copies jive with the books, it's all good.
Okay. And another little recommendation that's not in the code, I recommend that every 3 or 4 years you go out and get an outside audit. It's expensive, but it'll save you in the long run. Yes, sir.
Financial report in the lodge I'm treasurer for is always made at the officers' meeting 1 week before the stated.
Yeah.
Whatever the charter says.
Well, whatever the charter says, smart treasurers want that to be done that way because it relieves a lot of anxiety.
It really does. Okay.
It's not just the treasurer though, too, is let your lodge be aware of where money is going or not going.
Yeah, the primary group that I'm concerned about is the master, senior, junior warden. Secretary because he's nosy. But make sure that they know what's going on because they're the ones that's running the business. They have to know to the penny where things are, what the trends are, the whole 9 yards. The brethren in the lodge, you read out your financial report. Do they remember what it was last month, the month before? No. They just hear numbers. But the officers at the officers meeting, they track that. They want to know. They want to know to the penny.
On operations, the duties of all of the officers are actually spelled out in the Washington Masonic Code and the Lodge Officer's Handbook. So what the required duties are specifically defined. And it's done that way so that when you go from lodge to lodge to lodge, you kind of have a general idea of who's doing what to whom when it's due, right? The Lodge Officer's Handbook leaves you lots of leeway into standard procedures. As just another good example, your junior deacon in your lodge, does he stand by the door and make his report, or does he go to the altar?
It's the will and pleasure.
Goes to the altar.
Ours goes to the altar.
Yeah. So in a lot of cases, it's a lodge tradition, and does it make any difference? No, it's not in the handbook, nor is it in the code. So it's not that nobody cares. That's an option available to the master. And as junior wardens, let me say this: it would be your responsibility to share that information with your teams once you become worshipful masters. Going, brethren, we may have done it this way last year and the year before. But I think it looks really nice if, and make it so. Jim, you have something?
Yeah, the Lodge Officer's Handbook, before it was included here, and I think it still is recommendations. It's not locked in stone.
That's true.
Now, I also understand that the new one is coming out. It's actually more extensive than this.
It is.
And has that been reviewed, and if so, by whom?
It has been reviewed. It's been reviewed by a team of, it was written by 4, reviewed by another 4, reviewed by all of the Grand Lodge elected officers and several other past deputies, and was approved with all the final changes and is now at the publishers, at the printers.
The reason I ask this, and I don't know, I'm just telling you what I've heard, and of course that's always dangerous, is that this one individual who has read it was talking to another who has read it, and they both agreed that it was expanded a lot and that they had serious reservations about some of the procedures that were recommended.
Okay.
That is still going to be optional, is that correct?
Recommendations.
Recommendations only, okay.
Recommendations. This
That-
is not
that
interfere
solves-
with your lodge traditions,
So if you want to, you can go back to the old one and use it.
if you like.
Yeah, okay.
Or we go back to the old way of doing things. Right.
I just bring that
No,
up as a
good.
point of clarification.
Yep, good. For lodge events and things that you guys do on a yearly, 10 years, whatever the cycle is, where would you be the first place that you would go look to get any kind of help? Well, look internally. Go look at what your lodge committees have been doing in the past and ask them, is this what you guys do always? Is this as good as it gets? Do you need additional assistance and new help, right? The next one is, and you're gonna love this one, is what about taskmasters? Oh, God, you have to work with them. Oh, no. Right? But they're a great source of information about what the lodge has done, what was successful, what didn't necessarily work all that well, and can often suggest things that if I were to do it differently, I would do thus. And so they're a great source. All you have to do is start talking to them and listening a little bit. You don't have to take everything that they say as gospel, but if you have an annual dinner for your ladies, and you go, I know we've always done it on Valentine's Day, but that interferes with people that don't have children, they go off on their own for a weekend, and I want to move it up a week or back a week, is that going to kill the lodge?
No.
Ask masters, can we move that? What will happen if we do or don't? Great source, okay? Your lodge officers, as junior wardens, your worshipful master has ultimate responsibility and authority over what goes on in his lodge, even over and above anybody that may be elected to the Grand Lodge office, as it should be, okay?
His lodge.
It is his lodge. And so, if you want to go in and do something, you really should talk to the worshipful master. And I'll be making a side bet with any of you that if you go, I want to try something new, and I want to try it on a date when we don't have any real conflicts, the worshipful master is going to fall all over himself to go, make it so. Have at it. You want a lodge program, you want a dinner, have at it.
But then that touches base on what you had talked about in the last little thing as far as officers' meetings.
Yeah.
You know, as junior wardens, you know, if we have an officers' meeting once, twice a month, whatever, you can bring that up to the master. So you're not wasting his time or the lodge's time, and if everybody agrees, come time to do it, it's a done deal.
Among other things, and it's not on here, what about other junior wardens? You know, does everybody here within their district have a LOMA or a district office or so meeting or something like that? Anybody that does that?
SLOC.
SLOC, whatever you call it. Is anybody here that does
LOA
not?
lodge officers.
Yeah. What a great resource for you,
Awesome.
right? And they don't know enough not to they don't know enough to tell you no. Right? They're junior wardens. Oh, we all have the same problems. Let's all work together. At one point, I hate doing this, but at one point I thought it was such a great idea. I went and got all the senior wardens out of our district, and we did the master. We conferred. I was the only lodge officer there, and I served as master. And everybody else, every other senior warden took a different position in our lodge.
Nice.
It was great. We had a great time. Yeah, there was 3 past masters going, you can't do that. We've never done that before.
Oh,
But what a great time we had. And guess what? It started, we as senior wardens that year have kept up that relationship all the way through. It was a lot of fun. Right? Okay, so use your counterparts. Any other questions on this? This is kind of cut and dry, guys. Sorry, I can't get really,
Enthusiastic.
well, I'm enthusiastic, but there's not a lot of jokes that you can do about this sort of stuff. What about questions on lodge education? Everybody wants lodge education, but how many times in your lodge do you really do lodge education?
Every special.
Good for you guys. Most lodges? Pay your bills?
to have a program.
Program may only be 5 minutes. And I had to be very pointed with the master of my lodge this last meeting. I said, Marshal Master, the officers meeting, you said you wanted me to present the program. You're getting ready to close. Would you like to have it now? And I gave a small presentation on why temple corporations. And I mentioned that we have them and why we have them. And I said, but the interesting thing is, what is the lodge? Most people do not realize the building's not the lodge, the checking account is the lodge, it's not the lodge. The brethren are the lodge, and when the lodge gets sued, the entire lodge membership gets sued.
Well,
Just like
And then the deputy stood up and emphasized that a little bit. And gee whiz, we haven't quite used 5 minutes yet.
Lodge education doesn't have to be anything elaborate or even planned. If you just have one little handy-dandy question out of the Washington Masonic Code as a topic of discussion, you've got 10 minutes worth of conversation.
Stephen and I are part of Greenwood Lodge, and we have proficiency in lodge management once a month, which will meet there and go over everything, of course, which is the best thing, resource we have to go over everything. That night also, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, sometimes they'll have deacons training in the other room, the lodge room, and there's some encyclopedic Masons that know the work down to the step, that walk us through every little bit, and the ritual work just grows exponentially from it. It tightens everything up.
And they make it fun, don't they?
Yeah, I get to take it back. I'm junior warden in Occidental. I take it back to Occidental, work with the other guys. We have sharp corners now, you know, and everyone notices it, and everyone loves it.
And the brethren take pride in doing it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that just cracks me up. Is like you learn this ritual. It's hard. It's terrible. By George, I kicked it. Right? Jim.
I just wanted to point out that at the installation, the worshipful master commits to reading or having read the Washington Masonic Code at each meeting. And I challenge you to point out the lodges that actually do that every meeting. You may find it on one or two fingers.
Yeah.
And that is an excellent way to start off a program. Find that part of the Washington Masonic Code that's pertinent to the subject you want to teach, read that part of the Washington Masonic Code, and then do the program.
Here's an interesting one. Just as off the wall, just an off the wall question coming in out of the east, or if the worshipful master, you know, west, wherever. What year was Ben Franklin made a Master Mason? Okay. 1731. Okay, that's interesting, right? So, and there's a little bit of talking about what did Boston look like in 1731? Boston didn't look like it does today, it's spread all over Hex Half Acre, right?
Yeah.
So, you got, Boston was a kind of a village town, 1731. How many more years was it before he was Grand Master of Pennsylvania? 10, 5, 3? 3. 3 years from Master Mason to Grand Master in 3 years. Now, brethren, if you don't think that'll bring up some conversation, it will.
A lot of it has to do with when Grand Lodge was instituted.
Yes, yes. Oh, there's a lot of history that gets brought out when you ask the question. And you'll have a Masonic moment. You'll have lodge education. Unintentional, okay? There are special presenters that you can go get. Your deputy will be given a list of people that will come to your lodge and provide an educational program for you. You have to be a little careful. You have to plan these things. You can't just call them up the day before and go, yo, you're the program, okay? Because a lot of these guys, their expertise is in a particular field, and they may live in Spokane. They're willing to travel for you. They are brothers enough that they will give of their time and knowledge to come over and give you a lodge program, but you need to be a little bit considerate, okay? And there are some programs that are so involved, you may not get them done in one meeting. And I use long-range planning as an example. You got one of the committees, one of the committeemen here for long-range planning, where we have spent the last year going through the old long-range plan and seeing what worked and what didn't. The stuff that is not working and has no hope of working in the current environment we've kind of put over here on site. We're really concentrating on what I'm going to call the Masonic Triangle, and that's fraternity, resources, and membership. And if you don't have that, you really, any one of those, and you really won't have a lodge, or you won't have one for long. And so that whole focus is going to be there. Well, that's not a 10-minute education. Okay, so, but will he come over to your lodge and tell you what the Grand Lodge long range plan, how, when, where, and why? Yes, he will. Will he come back and give you resources on how to develop a lodge long range plan?
I would hope so.
Yes, he will. They will, okay? And there are other committees that are just dying to come over and share with you what they are doing. And when I say what they're doing, it's what they're doing for you. These are not Grand Lodge committees in truth. They are committees that are sponsored and paid for by Grand Lodge, but they are a resource and a tool for the lodges. And you should make use of them for free. Okay?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
You know, you're talking about programs and things to basically give you education in your lodge and stuff like that. We at times, we call on a youth group, DeMolay, Rainbows, Jobies. They're usually, we ask their honor queens or whatever their, you know, worthy advisors are. And sometimes we let those people have 10 or 15 minutes in the lodge to let us as a lodge know what can we do to help support and bring you guys and or new people in your program as well as ours. And that's a fantastic way. You're getting your education, you're finding out what's going on in your youth groups, you're helping them out, and in turn, they're getting new potential people into the lodges.
Yeah.
15 minutes, man.
So all I've done is listed some of the Masonic resources. There are tons and tons of others. Whoever's heard of CERT? Who knows what CERT is?
I've heard of it, I'm not sure.
Civilian Emergency Response Teams, okay? These guys will, in a nutshell, if there's a major catastrophe, like an earthquake, right? If Seattle shakes down to the foundations, you will overwhelm any first responders. They just won't be able to respond first, second, or third, right? They're going to have to prioritize their work. You are going to be on your own. In a nutshell, think about it. I live in Mukilteo. There's 2 roads in, period, and both of them have bridges. If those bridges shake, you're walking out or flying out with a helicopter, period, right? And if you're not even on their top of their list, as if you're going to check out any time, they're not going to bother with you. They're going to go work on somebody else. So the first response, this CERT team is designed for people to go over and have first help themselves and then go help their neighbors. That's what they do. They'll come in and give you a program. Absolutely come in and give you a program and convince you to come work for CERT. And it's a lot of fun. Okay? There's all sorts of really good things. I'm going to let a cat out of the bag just a little bit, so you guys excuse me, but the charity for next year is going to be the the Masonic Medical Research Laboratory.
Nice.
Okay, that's who it's going to be. These guys are doing world-class work and leading edge stuff on heart surgery. They're going to come in and they will, we're going to be asking the brethren here to help support that in knowledge transfer, and to bring this program into the lodges as an example, just as an example. One of the things that they'll give us is a refrigerator magnet. Okay, calm down, it's just a refrigerator magnet. But on the front of that is the person's name, their age, and all personal information, okay? Next is their doctor's name and phone number and where his clinic and his hospital is. The next thing is what medications are you taking? What allergies do you have? And it goes on your refrigerator. Now, can you imagine a first responder walking into you and you're blue on the floor, unresponsive, and where is the first place they're going to look?
Refrigerator.
work with them, they'll look at the refrigerator, they'll pull that card off, put it on your chest and haul you out, and they'll know everything about you.
They
Okay?
used to look at a photo too.
Yeah, so wouldn't it be great if into your lodge, this person, this brother, this lodge brother walks in with a stack of these going, I'll give them to you if you will set up an appointment with your first responders and have an open house. You agree to do that? Here they are. And it says on the bottom of it, compliments from the Freemasons of Washington. Okay, you'll see that next year. All right, so there's lots and lots of little programs. Make sure that in every meeting, somebody exchanges some little knowledge, some little Masonic nugget. The ladies over here are having Masonic moments. They just stop what they're doing in the middle of it and going, one of them will pop up and going, do you know why there's 3 steps over in the east and only 2 in the west and only 1 in the south? And they share that with the ladies. And then they pick up and go back. Do that. It's a lot of fun and it scares the heck out of your past masters. Yeah. Okay? All right. Other sources for education. Good grief, what a list. All you have to do first is to, in your current position, get permission from your worshipful master, which, trust me, it's going to be easy, okay? What?
You left off public relations again.
Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry about that.
That's over.
Call Jim.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here, wait a minute. Pencil. Call Jim. This is kind of like white out on the screen, right? Okay. Look at all the opportunities that your lodge has for just a Masonic moment, or minute, or 10. Good grief, look at it. And if nothing else, you can go to the training will be being created and put out on the Grand Lodge website as classes. In the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to see 10-minute trainers all over the Grand Lodge website under education. 10-minute trainers for secretaries, for deputies, for masters, for wardens, for lodge candidates, for the lodge ladies. Be careful, okay? In the next 24 months, this stuff is coming. And then, here's the other one. You can always talk to the deputy of the Grand Master in your district. They're knowledgeable, or will help you. And be careful of this one.
Extremely careful.
Be very careful of this one. Phoenix Masons. Phoenix Masons has more information about masonry and history and things that you can move around with a shovel. It's good stuff. Use it. Be careful with it. Phoenix Masonry is co-masons.
Verify your sources.
They're co-masons. Does that make them bad people?
No.
No. They do wonderful work. But when you start conversing with them, you are conversing with a clandestine lodge.
And you cannot convert Masonic
With a clandestine lodge. How many Grand Lodges operate in this state? Anybody know?
And just
I know 2.
4.
F&AM, that's us. Prince Hall, co-mason, and Grand Lodge of America. Co-masons will raise a woman. The Grand Lodge of America will raise an atheist. We all have lodges in this state. And then there's Chinese, there's a lodge that belongs to a Chinese thing in Seattle. There's another one, a lodge. Yeah, there's a Filipino one in Tacoma or something like that. But they're not Grand Lodges, they're just lodges. But we have Grand Lodges that meet and operate in this state, at least 4.
So those other 2 would be clandestine?
If they're not one of those 2, they're clandestine. Okay? All right. So just be very, very careful with the internet.
So how could we garner information from them?
Oh, one of the things on my list is that I left off is the little booklet of recognized lodges. And your lodge should have a recent, if not current,
Is that been
copy.
revamped and all that? Is that?
Gets republished about every 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's.
I think the last one was 2012.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
travel, they seem to book that book out first.
You know it, right? And then you look at the date, it was printed in 1934. It hadn't been updated since, yeah. If that's the case, when you get to be Worcester Master, going, let's buy a new book, okay? Please.
We definitely have to buy one.
For long-range planning, for tactical plans and long-range planning, your officers' meetings should be your first source. The only admonition that I'm going to give you guys here is make sure that when you talk about a long-range plan, you're not talking about just a long-range hope. I can't even call it a vision, right? Your long-range thing goes, we're going to increase our membership by 40%. There's your long-range plan. Okay. How are you planning on doing that, and how are you going to eat that elephant? Yes, sir.
Last couple, 3 years, Union City Lodge, number 27, went through and developed a long-range plan. And we did send a copy of that to the Grand Lodge for their review. And we got no comments back at all, which means they didn't object.
Which means they didn't object, but they didn't respond, which is not good either.
Yeah.
They should have at least commented on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will get another copy and I will send it to you.
You can send it to me, and all I'm going to do with it is I'm going to turn right around and send it to the chairman of long range planning. So
It's your project, but I got it in the Grand Lodge when I sent it to you.
my suggestion is you send it direct. But you can send it to me. That's what I'll do with it.
Well, yeah, but you have a chance to look at it because it's their long-range plans. And
Yeah.
one lodge is doing this.
Yeah. That would be great. But this is what you're going to be saying. Yes, sir.
Something to touch upon the list there. We're working on long-range plans right now. We have a simple board committee for the long-range plan, and we have a lodge committee for our long-range plan.
There you go.
But one of the things, the pool we're pulling from, the human resources we're pulling from, we're not pulling from officers, which is a little different. So, but one of the things we sat down and went through, we listed who potential leaders of our lodge are. Who is the potential to come to these committees, not just to help in the lodge, but to come to these committees, and who's going to be the resource that's going to have the thought power or the time and effort willing to put into it. That's the biggest resource that we've been playing with, is who do we know in our lodge that's willing to do this? Not just a deputy, not just past master, but just a member. That's the number one thing. Because everyone has ideas, but not everyone implements ideas.
Or can implement some of those ideas.
Right, so we can't just take all the nodding heads that are on the side that are going to be the guys that are going to be in the committee. They might agree with it, but they don't have the time or energy to do it.
I'll even go out on a limb a little bit here and saying, if this is your interest in something that you enjoy working with and want to work with other lodges in development of a long-range plan, I would ask you to get in touch with Gary O'Leary, chairman of the Long-Range Planning Committee, and offer your services. They're looking for qualified and or trainable people on working long-range plans.
Is this for Grand Lodge scale?
Yeah, yeah. But if you're doing it for your lodge, then everything that Grand Lodge is working on should be for the benefit of the lodge, not Grand Lodge. Without you guys, there is no Grand Lodge. So if we develop a membership program, it really ought to be from grassroots going, this is what we need to support our membership, or develop, get new members or whatever. And we, having the resources going, yep, we can do that, and give it back down to you as a pull.
Well, you mentioned that grassroots too. We've gone to the pool of just members, because one of the pitfalls we've run into is the old guys that say, this is the way we've done it for years, and this is the way we always do it. But that's not the way that's going to grow.
This is the 21st century, get used to it.
Exactly.
That's our policy.
Okay.
In the kindest of manners, of course.
Really quickly. You can call him. If you dare.
What do you want to call it?
Okay?
Call Dawn.
Yeah. If you get down, if you've gone through your Worcester Master, and you've gone through your past masters, and you've gone through your district deputy, and he's gone through all of his resources, and you have no other recourse, then you can give him a buzz.
Make sure your master knows.
Well, worse,
Yeah.
worse, he will not work your call if you are not a worshipful master yourself or secretary.
And he'll call the master and say, man up.
He will,
Get
and
some
he's not
good
nice
lads.
about it, he's Army. Okay? So if you do, if you've exhausted all of your resources and you need something out of that office, have the master or the secretary send him an email or give him a phone call, right? But he would be your last resource, particularly on things like training. You go to your secretary for training? No, right? If you have a form question, a specific form question your deputy can't answer, then either your deputy call or your worshipful master or secretary will call. Okay? Any questions on that? Because he made me put this in here.
Send it to Sam, he'll take care of it.
Okay. Lodge resources for masters and secretaries. Look, there's all sorts of information within the Lodge Officer's Handbook, as well as in the Washington Masonic Code on awards and reports and all the rest of those things. They're all there. They may take just a little effort to dig those things out, but they are there. And then if you need additional resources, then call one of the ladies in the office. And this is in particular to about awards and that sort of thing. The office manager is Marianne Matthews. And she is
awesome.
just awesome. She is great.
She'll bend
How
over
many people
backward.
remember Charlene? Remember Charlene? Okay. She could be a little
Cranky?
Yeah, I won't say cranky. Okay. Marianne was the opposite of that. So she will go through and help you. Jane Davis is the other general secretary and knows a lot, though she's not been around all that long. Kathleen and Lynn are your accountants, okay, and so for sending in money or asking for your, the status of accounts and that sort of thing, they're accountants. Chantal Stevens is your new database manager and helps you with your secretary's database and that sort of thing. And then there's Very Works brother Don Campbell is the assistant command secretary.
What happened to Marty?
Marty was the database manager. Marty has had family and medical issues and got down to a point where she was there 1-2 days a week, and then so.
That explains.
Yeah, Marty has a special needs daughter that was
Okay.
required.
The last 2 emails I sent to her, I got no response.
Yeah. It was not an easy choice to make, but
Okay.
it was a decision that was past time.
I'll have to change that email to Mary Ann instead of Marty.
Yeah.
Because Marty took over from Charlene when I was sending messages to Charlene. Found out later she was a family friend. Charlene was.
First name at freemason.wa.org, and you'll get there.
It's right on the webpage.
Right on the page.
Yeah, I would like to add something. I was a little bit short on why you would embarrass a California Mason. And the master will say, how tiled brother junior deacon? And the junior deacon says, by a brother of this degree without the door. You know immediately you've embarrassed that brother because everybody sitting around him will correct him.
Yeah.
And those are that's only one of 4 differences in that short speech that the junior deacon has.
Okay. Any questions, guys? I think there are other resources that are out there available to you. Okay? But I always suggest that you start at the lowest level and work your way up. Okay? Or just call me. I'll give you an answer.
Might not be the one you want, but he's good at giving answers.
Just a comment at our earlier discussion group around the group that I was with. One of the opinions came out that was the unfortunate perception that the Grand Lodge is a top-down organization, and it is not. It is an organization representing us as individual Masons, and they are a resource that we need to be reaching out to and who will be reaching out to us. And it's not because they want to beat you over the head. But there are resources there, as Right Worshipful Sam has pointed out, that we need to make use of. And it's foolish of us not to, because it's free.
Yeah, thank you. Good point. Anything from the floor? Thanks, guys. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, John.